Answer, because you are that, you are capable, you are gifted, and you are so unique. All of the things that you may hate about yourself are your strengths. It's okay to be soft. It's okay to be opinionated. It's okay to be different. And it's so okay to just be you. The world awaits to receive you.
Blessings, blessings. Let me get myself on the screen. I'll be thinking I'm ready. Blessings, blessings and grand rising family. Yes, welcome to Uncensored Enlightenment Talk. Today we're going to be doing, you see, I'm still trying to get my life together. So I changed the title a few times, but right now it's Let's Talk About It. But I think we're going to be doing like weekly wrap ups. You let me know what you want this to be called. It's just going to be one title, and I'm going to do EP1, EP2, and we're going to kind of like wrap up what's been going on. All right. So we are going to start with our infamous. We're going to have to put her on the screen because without her, we don't go viral. Look, that's what she said. Without me, you ain't nothing. Y'all owe me. But just to give you a little recap of what happened, I've been pretty quiet right now on these Dalton streets and Dalton politics as well. I'm keeping my eyes on the prize, but we already know that she has shot back at the trustees and also the park district related to the meetings. Hold on, let me fix my screen, get me on the right side of the screen. Blessing to you guys this morning. So let's just do a brief recap. We'll possibly get into the details of this next week and a little bit more about her how can I say, domestic husband, because after you with somebody after a while you domestically married, okay. Even though he's still married, and we'll wait until the 22nd to see what happened. But here Mayor Hinier filed frivolous lawsuit against village trustees in the park district after last week Dalton trustees meeting held at the Dalton Park District by a majority of the board. Dalton Mayor Tiffany Hinier and two trustees filed a lawsuit against three Dalton trustees in the Dalton Park districts in an attempt at forcing the trustees into meeting in the Dalton Village Hall. So I just said a mouthful, and I want to say something. First and foremost, I'm done with you, Stan, my man. I have been thinking, and I had an epiphany. I was watching Stan in a few old videos, and he is connected to the finance. So for me to say like, "Oh, Stan slow" and this type of stuff, I'm gonna probably have to back foot that statement because I think Stan is smarter and dumber than what we think. I'm saying dumb because he's still sticking beside her, but smarter to say that he is a trickster. He is someone who is deviant in that way, that type of smart. Stan lost me. So someone did mention to me that they thought that Stan went to the actual meeting before, just to kind of, well, how can I say, creep and find out what was happening. And he showed that he's not on the resident side. So I'm I'm a little disgusted with Stan, but I'm not shocked at this point because in the times we're living in, you never know what you're gonna get. Right. Secondly, what makes this lawsuit to me even more frivolous because you have already been allegedly ordered by Kwame Raoul to make sure that you have these meetings in a place that's not only safe but also big enough to hold all of the residents. And obviously, that little old building because I've been there. And when I went outside that building, I was like, oh my God, this is so small, it cannot hold the residents. So, in my opinion, this is Tiffany' attempt to frivolously not only file a lawsuit, but to spend Dalton's residents' money. Okay. And just to keep her name in the presses. This is what she do. She loves attention, no matter if it's good or bad. Obviously, it's been bad for the last 3 years. Okay, so we're not going to get into this in detail. We're just doing like just a quick flashback of what's going on, and the park district is involved because of the location. So we're going to follow up on that next week when we hear a little bit more about that. While we're talking about Dalton, you know what I like to do? Just give y'all a quick. Let's just go into Dalton politics a little bit. It's pretty quiet, but they have they on Mr. Let's put him on the screen. Put a little apple head on the screen. They have their foot on this man's neck. He is the talk of the town. I did receive an email, and thank you. I did say thank you, but I didn't really want to follow up on that content. They have been talking about Kamal Woods, Kamal King, Kamal Johnson, Kamal, whoever you want to call them. Those are the alias that people found. They also found numerous amount of how can I say addresses connected to him. These are some of the things that I did find as far as um houses that's connected to him, things that he had for sale. That house he been had for sale for a while. They were talking about it was up there for sale, and I was looking at it about 2 weeks ago, but I didn't find anything too significant about it. So we're going to follow up next week because I'm still doing a little bit more digging when it comes to Kamal and his actual role in Dalton, especially highlighting that he is supposed to be over the kids program. So there was some information that was released in Dalton, highlighting the youth grant program. So I was looking at that and I would like to make more out of it. So if anyone would like to talk to me about that document, I would love to. With that Freedom of Information request, that document didn't have a lot in the description. So it just looks like money is just coming out, and it just doesn't make sense to me. So it's something that we're going to follow up next week when it comes to Kamal, because he's the talk of the town right now. So right here, wait 1 minute. Wait 1 minute. It's Kamal Woods Johnson trying to move Tiffany in to his wife and kids home. So they having some eviction issues. So the streets is talking. And I honestly believe that this woman lives nowhere near Dalton. I know I would assume with all of the alleged money that has been laundered out of Dalton, she may have purchased property outside of the area in the state. So you guys keep your eyes on that. These things sounds like they're trying to liquidate before the feds come in, but we're gonna follow up. Okay, so this was what was this video, just to see. Let's see what this video about. Hold on 1 second. We're not gonna make this a Henry special because we got other things to talk about today. We got some very important things to talk about.
Despite being plagued by numerous scandals, the corrupt Dalton mayor has announced she's running for re-election.
Yes.
Henyard announced her bid in a recent Facebook post as she seemingly refuses to step down. An investigation conducted by former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot earlier this year found that the village is over $3.5 million in debt and also raised questions about spending on village credit cards. Henyard is also believed to be at the center of an FBI investigation into her alleged rampant spending on the taxpayers' dime. And more recently, the mayor was served an eviction notice at her home, where she and her boyfriend owe more than $3,500 in rent. Not only is Henyard's leadership driving the village into the ground, it's also putting a divide in the community. Last week, opposing members on Dalton's board held a meeting in a different area to accommodate the crowd. Henyard and two of her allies still tried to hold a meeting at Village Hall, but had to cancel because not enough trustees showed up.
As you can see, the board and
I'm just disgusted. You know who face I just saw? I had to pause it. Moving forward.
I show up, and these are the things that the residents are tired of. When we sit here and we set a schedule to attend a board meeting, their jobs as legislative council to show up.
The Attorney General recently told the board that meetings at Village Hall weren't legal because they violated the Open Meetings Act. Henyard eventually made it over to the other meeting, but was booed out.
Just to be clear, since y'all were making all that noise, just to be crystal clear, I am here to appoint my police chief, my village
This is great. And then you're gonna see her crash out, get mad. Look at them. Look at the residents.
Last month, a judge blocked Henyard from being able to make appointments to village posts without approval from the trustees. Since the meeting, Henyard and her 2 allies have filed a lawsuit against the other 4 board members, saying their gathering outside of Village Hall was illegal. Henyard has also received a handful of lawsuits herself. She was served during a meeting just last week.
Okay, thank you. You sir. Anytime. I guess anything else? I get sued all the time. Y'all.
I get sued all the time.
Henyard received over 80% of the vote when she ran in 2021. She says she has no doubt the people of Dolton will give her their overwhelming support, saying they know the truth. Henyard is set to face off against Dolton board member Jason House, who's part of an initiative called the Clean House Slate.
We've seen all kinds of spending, countless spending on Vegas trips, first-class flights, luxury hotels, and fine dining, all on the taxpayers. We've also seen $1 million a year of security following around one individual instead of being on the streets where they belong.
Dolton's Democratic primary will take place in February.
All right, so we're going to keep our eye on what's going on with the election out there. That was basically a brief recap. That was a great recap brought by Fox 32 of everything that happened over the last week or two, excluding, remember, she falsely basically filed papers. They should have put that in there against a resident, Mr. Roberts. So keep that in mind, y'all, that we still have to support him. Okay, I'm gonna put that in the community page. You know, hopefully I can keep up with it on time to put it up there for people who want to, you know, keep your eyes on the prize. And this is a supposed Clean House 2025. So you guys keep your eyes on all of the people who are actually running for positions. As I told you guys, be open to ask questions, ask the right questions. Don't be afraid. You know what it is. Let's move forward because I think I spent over almost 20 minutes on stupid Henyard. Okay. Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard announced re-election bid. Okay, let's just watch this. You know, I gotta put one more thing. Let's see if she actually said it. I want to hear if she said it. I'm running. Well, you already heard. You hear my introduction what she say all the time.
Tiffany Henyard is running for re-election. She made the announcement on social media. Village trustees have accused her of financial mismanagement. She is also under federal investigation. Henyard has denied the allegations. She was elected mayor back in February of 2021.
All right. So
hey, Tanya, good morning. The 12-person jury seated in the Delphi.
When we follow up next week, we're going to go into some of those clips. You know what we do. We're going to troll her, find a way to look on her page and stuff, you know, do all that fun stuff. Now, what we're going to get into is just a few updates. And when we get into Georgia, I want you guys to know that our Georgia issues actually connects to the full presidential election. So when I do the Atlanta news, y'all need to pay attention because out here the block is hot. And there's a lot going on out here that affects the whole United States. But before we get to that, I just want to give an update. Do y'all remember this story? Former Dallas officer Amber Geiger. Tell me if you remember Amber Geiger, the situation with that officer who went into an apartment of a gentleman. I think he just got off of work and unalived him, just, you know, basically just wasn't supposed to be there. He didn't do anything. The disturbance, whatever it was called, there had nothing to do with him. So she's been locked up for a while and she was seeking to see, can she get parole? So this is an update. And I'm pretty happy about this because this was a very high intense case as far as Amber Geiger. And I thought she was going to get off, honestly. The way that she was trying to set up and cry and behave. Yeah, let's watch this.
Back now to our top story. We have learned that Amber Geiger will stay in prison, at least for now.
Yeah, the family of Botham Jean tells us that she was denied parole on.
Are you looking for a chic private?
Why the commercial want to come on? Barely.
Now, Geiger was sentenced to 10 years for murdering Botham Jean in his apartment. She was a Dallas police officer at the time of that shooting.
Trevor Zohaki joins us now live in studio. And Trevor, this outcome, it's really a startling one. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, that's right, Madison and Carmen. When I spoke with Allison John, Botham's mother, she told me Geiger caused her family a lot of pain and said she felt like the 10-year sentence Geiger received for killing Botham was not nearly long enough. Geiger has spent 5 years behind bars so far. She was convicted and sentenced in 2019. She appealed that conviction, but lost her appeal 2 years ago. The former Dallas police officer said she confused Botham's apartment for her own, mistook him for an intruder, and shot him while she was off duty, so her body camera was not recording. She was up for parole a couple weeks ago on what would have been Botham's 33rd birthday.
You see, all of that. I watched this and I was like, oh my God, she about to get off with all of these crocodile tears? We just gonna say it, white girl tears. We just gonna have to say it. You know, it is what it is. When they cry, everybody fly. They be like, what's wrong?
Botham's family has been pushing for her to stay behind bars.
You in jail.
I believe that 10 years, that the sentence which she received
is not enough.
Was almost a slap on the wrist for the crime which she committed and the pain that she has caused my family ever since we lost both of them.
A lawyer I spoke with said he didn't expect Geiger to get parole this time around since most people don't get parole on their first try, especially violent offenders. Geiger will be up for parole again in 2 years, at which point she'll have 3 years left in her sentence. Madison.
Good. And I'm pretty astonished and happy that they consider her a violent offender, because that's what some of these officers need to be considered when they commit crimes. But yeah, just to flash back, that story, basically she went into his house talking about she thought it was hers. And how do you do that? I mean, do we have such a cookie cutter world that you can't even define your apartment and then you shoot the young man? And what makes it even more horrific, I'm going to be honest, when he passed away, his brother has said that he forgives her and he prays for her. And a lot of people were upset with him. And myself, I really didn't know how to take it, because I was like, no, forgiveness is what it is, but don't be no sucker. But with God, with the grace of God, he's keeping her in jail. And that's where she needs to go, needs to stay. 10 years, I don't believe that that's enough. But with that goes to say that was just an update on the Amber Geiger situation. Botham is his name. And to highlight, you know, just the little research that I did at the time, you know, he was a really nice kid, really nice, into the church, into volunteering, low key, that type of person. So my heart goes out to them, and thank God that she's not in the streets. Okay, we do have a just world in some cases. Now I want to talk about this. Now this happened a couple of weeks ago. I kind of mentioned it in my live, and when I talked about something is different, like basically we disconnected, and I was disconnected from this. The Georgia chemical fires. Okay, this happened in Conyers. Conyers is not too far from the metropolitan Atlanta area, as well as my area. I'm going to be honest. You got to look at Atlanta like, okay, just look at a circle, put a circle in the middle, and that's the heart of Atlanta. So you have different parts of Atlanta that surrounds this: East Atlanta, South Atlanta, up there with Marietta, and kind of down here where you could get into what part of Atlanta is that? I forgot what part of. I'm looking right at it. But once you come out of there, it's just like other cities, other towns that is adjacent to it. And Conyers is like out here, probably like 30 or 40 minutes from Atlanta. Okay, so I just want you guys to get an idea of the geographical area, because when you think of Georgia, you think of only Atlanta. So I'm just giving you what it is, and that's where it's like a highway that go into a circle and a bunch of other highways that will take you out of that area. Does that make sense? So Conyers is on this side. Conyers, and where I'm at is kind of like down 30 minutes from Conyers. Conyers here, I'm here, Metro Atlanta here. Does that make sense? So that's why I was a little disconnected. But at the end of the day, we're starting to hear about some updates about people actually having reactions from the alleged just chlorine. So Georgia chemical fires. Why do I smell chlorine?
This afternoon's top story with the latest on the biolab chemical fire in Rockdale County. In Gwinnett County, a lot of people woke up smelling chlorine too. Thick smoke enveloped a lot of that region for a good part of the day over the weekend. Fox 5's Rob DiRienzo has been tracking the haze in Lawrenceville tonight. Rob, our viewer tip line flooded with calls, and so was 911.
That's right, Tom. Good afternoon to you. Well, this place has been pretty busy throughout the day. We're hearing from Gwinnett County officials that they've been monitoring air throughout the region after they woke up this morning. And a lot of people woke up throughout Metro Atlanta and saw that haze and had that chlorine smell in their nose.
Which is very scary, especially like with the hurricane coming through and now this.
A cloud of smoke overtook much of Metro Atlanta Monday morning after the chemical plant blaze in Rockdale County that spewed chlorine and hydrochloric acid.
When you go to a pool, it smells.
And my silly self trying to go out there and have an event, not me, but I was having an event out there. I told you guys, and I was surprised it was canceled. I'm like, what's going on? Guys, I'm saying that to say sometimes we just be so wrapped in our everyday lives that we don't pay attention to what's going on outside, and it could become a health hazard. You know what I'm saying? So just be aware. Don't do what GraceLevi did. Like, oh, I'm in my own world. All of a sudden, it was an explosion outside. I'm in my own world. We have to pay attention because we could be get right involved in this. Does that make sense? Especially when it comes to chemicals and things like that.
Smells like chlorine, like it just is pure chlorine though. Like when you're going underwater and you come up and it's like your nose hurts.
It seemed to hit the eastern portions of the metro the worst. Check out the haze looming over one neighborhood in Loganville. In Decula, you can barely see a mile up the interstate. Over on Gwinnett County's Briscoe Airfield, the clouds seem to drop out of the sky and onto the taxiway.
We do have a hazardous material team who went out and did their own monitoring throughout the county and found no areas of concern.
And that's why Gwinnett officials did not issue their own shelter in place. Their 911 center took 179 calls from residents related to the air quality.
So we're going to stop right there, and we're going to go into what they talk about the air quality. So I explained to you how it looks. So Marietta and Gwinnett is like up here, and Conyers is like right here. Does that make sense? And the Metro Atlanta is right in the center. So that's how many people, all of us, could pretty much be affected. Not me, because I stay my ass in the house. Let me show you. Like, because I'm always home. All right. So this is Health Center Director explains possible symptoms from Conyers chemical plum. Next steps. Okay, so this was 2 weeks ago, but then we're just going to get to one more video that I found that was interesting, where people are saying that they have been allegedly coughing up blood. Okay, and one person's dog got sick. Okay, let's get to it.
I'm Dr. Lynn Paxton. I'm the interim director for the Gwinnett Newton Rockdale Health District. I'm sorry, I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay. I'll reintroduce myself. I'm Dr. Paxton. I am the interim health director for the Gwinnett, Newton, and Rockdale Health Center. And what I am going to do today is, and please excuse my referring down to my notes, but it's important. We have been receiving a number of inquiries from the public about the current incidents and medical effects. So I'm going to attempt to respond to the most important ones and to give you directions as to how you can obtain further information. Now, as we know, as to our knowledge, the chemicals released from this fire are chlorines, chloramine, and chlorine compounds. And these sorts of compounds can irritate the skin and the mucous membranes, including the eyes, the nasal passages, and the respiratory system. So people who already have pre-existing conditions affecting these parts of the body may be more likely to develop symptoms from this exposure. The recommendations that we have for everyone are to include limiting exposure to these compounds by staying indoors with closed windows and doors if you're in that area where you are seeing this haze. You should turn off any HVAC system that can pull in outdoor air. However, if you have an HVAC system that just recirculates the air that you already have indoors, it is okay to leave that on, as long as.
Well, I thought I was safe out here talking about I've been in the house and look what happened. They like, well, if you have the HVAC system that pull in the air, damn. But, I've been good. let's just listen to a little bit more what she had to say, and then we're going to get into some of the people who had some signs and symptoms out here. Okay, hold on.
You know that it's only recirculating indoor air. N90, we've gotten this question a lot. N95 masks are unlikely to provide any benefit. The reason is this because the chlorine compounds are actually smaller than the size filtered by an N95 mask. So just wanted to put that out there.
Goodness. I'm so done. Let me move forward. I'm sorry, I caught a flashback, y'all. Oh, remember they said that before, and then it was a big argument about that. Y'all wasn't involved. I was involved with that with other nurses. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Oh my God, I caught a flashback. Moving forward, Georgia residents cough up blood. Animals sick from chemical interferon. So let's get to this. This is brought by Status Coop News, where they had a few people from the metropolitan area that had to go back and forth into the hospital, and I think somebody's dog died. Let's get to it.
And you're feeling a little sick.
That's right. I can tell you, I had my nose cauterized in East Palestine. I volunteer to do this and go in and help communities, so I'm not complaining. But I can really tell when there's something without my testing results. And
y'all like the screen like this.
Something was just 48 hours ago. There were people coughing up blood, passing out, and I was, around the perimeter, and the people around me, we all had intense headaches, and I got a sore throat. So I really feel for these people. Fortunately for me, I'm back where I live and have relatively fresh air. But these people that are continuing to be inundated by the ongoing plume, I really feel for them.
So I'm not going to speculate, but
see, I'm gonna just tell you this, y'all, because y'all know I'm gonna have to say I'm sick of it. And in my head, I was like, damn, if I say that, people gonna think I'm insensitive. I'm like, I'm glad I'm not in the hospital, because that's where I be at, all in the used to be in a metropolitan area. We dealt with a lot of stuff, and it's just the way the system deals with it. And I say, I can imagine what the healthcare providers going through and the patients going through, kind of trying to diagnose and figure out what the hell is going on. Because that would be my main issue. Like, how do we treat it? Because we don't know what the actual source is. You got to know the source. And if we're not being disclosed all of the information, because I think it's some part of this, they kind of said hydro something is in it. And that's nothing that the lady said. She just kept saying chlorine, this, chlorine, that. But it's something else that's in here too that may heighten some of the side effects that they were talking about. Sorry, qualified. I'm like, damn, I'm good. I'm glad, but I'm like, if y'all really need me and it comes to the end of the world, it's like, fuck it, I'm jumping back in, y'all. Not a problem. I'm gonna go back in there and triage. But right now, I'm like, shit, I pray for y'all. Whew.
There's been chlorine gas in the air for now over a week. Let me bring in the residents too, because I want to weave in everybody's stories with your experience down there, Scott. So, Colin, you could just bring them in all at once. So we have Madeline, you're down there in Conyers. Shayna, I believe you live like 0.3 miles away.
Yes.
I'm gonna make this go a little faster.
And I don't know if I'm going to pronounce your name correctly. Is it Fetty?
Fatty the street is the whole, but it's Fatty, yeah.
So I'm going to go by just proximity. Shayna, tell me, when did you first know this was going on? You got dogs, you got kids, I believe?
Yes.
And what's been going on with your symptoms?
We took my little dog to the vet today, and she has bronchitis. And we've been getting the headaches. And when it first happened, we were home, and we were supposed to be evacuated, but nobody ever came and evacuated us. Because we're on Lester Road, where they were actually talking about on their first news feed saying that they evacuated Lester Road, but we were never evacuated. My stepmother and a friend seen the evacuation online and called me and woke me up. And we ended up having to rush out of the house. And we didn't know exactly what was going on. So we covered the dogs up and put them in their cage. And then came back just a couple hours later, kind of broke in and got our dogs back and took them to safety with us.
And is that common for your dog to have bronchitis, or this is something?
She's never had it before.
And what about your kids?
I don't know much about animals, but did y'all ever heard of a dog catching bronchitis? She left the dog in the cage and they went out, and I guess the dog was exposed too much.
I got lucky, really lucky, that my son was at his friend's house when all of this happened because he has asthma. And when he came back,
we ended up in Butts County because we were evacuated and couldn't come home. So we were further enough away where he was good, but he started getting headaches today.
We know in East
He's back
Palestine,
in the area because he's back in the area.
chloride was the focus, but there's a whole lot of other stuff that was combusted. So here, I mean, really the only thing I see being communicated by the media or the EPA or Georgia's local FEMA is that they're looking into chlorine, but obviously there's a lot more chemicals that could have been created through that combustion, correct?
That is absolutely correct. And to put everything in perspective, too, I want to set the background for this for some of the new listeners. I have an incredible scientific team around me of toxicologists, environmental scientists, and over 200 years of experience. My role on the team is being on the front lines to take the incoming missiles from plaintiffs' attorneys, from the EPA, and all the trolls, which I can handle. But I want to tell you that scientific team has had some discussions with EPA Region 4. This is not EPA Region 5, and I want to be very clear. Although, you know, I've been a whistleblower with EPA Region 5 in East Palestine, I give everyone the benefit of the doubt. And I want to put things in perspective from the scientific team today, that it has been verified that at least 12 million pounds of chlorine compound has burned. Could be as high as 20 million. We don't know yet. East Palestine, as bad as it was 2 million pounds of chlorine compounds, including vinyl chloride, PVC.
And in English, to dummies like me, what does that mean to the average person? 12
Here's
million.
what it means. The products of incomplete combustion, dioxins, and cancer-causing benzene compounds that are called polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Jordan, we're
going to stop right there, okay, guys? Because y'all know what we're going to do with this. We're going to follow up with what happened out there in Conyers and the chemicals that was released, how it actually affect our system. We're going to be basically following up on Nurses to Nurses News Network with this, okay? You see, just by her story, her dog caught bronchitis. There's more to this. This is about a 17-minute clip. So since we're doing basically weekly wrap up, we're not going to get into the full clip, but it's going to be in the description so you guys can kind of get an idea what's going on. So if you don't know, now you know, we do have a series called Nurses to Nurses News Network where you can catch us on Rumble. So we're going to be putting that in the community page for you guys, the one who's interested to follow up on this information, because obviously, this sounds remarkably familiar as well to what happened in North Carolina. If you guys did not hear, there's a little issue in North Carolina and the FEMA, allegedly. I don't have clips up, but people being put on notice, people being properly evacuated, and people being properly supplied has been an issue when it comes to these natural disasters in the last couple of years when it comes to us. We always supply other people, allegedly, but when it comes to us. So one of the things that was the issue with the North Carolina was allegedly they were saying FEMA was blocking people from coming in and bringing in resources, especially to the people in the mountains. Okay. So, we'll follow up to see how that kind of is panning out. Those people houses got swiped out, and then we have individuals, people like us, going out to try to help them, and they're being stopped. So just to conclude that story right now, there was a narrative that came out that people are fighting against FEMA, and FEMA workers feel unsafe. There are false narratives going out there. Now, why would people go out there and say, well, FEMA not helping, I'm going to go help? People are saying literally guns are being placed, like pointed at them when they're trying to get in and go help people. So that's something we're going to follow up with next week as well. But here, the lack thereof telling these people to get out. You see what I'm saying? And she said when her son came back, he started having signs and symptoms. And that I believe that. We're going to follow up because that's something that I experienced with my son when we were living in this basement apartment in Pennsylvania before I moved to Georgia, and they had a flood. I don't know how long ago, but it was a while ago. And it was mold behind the wooden panels. You would never even know. And my son literally went into respiratory distress after a week and a half of us staying down there. It was bad. He had like possibly mold in his lungs. They could not figure out what it was. So we have to be very vigilant about these things too. So I'm kind of the bad girl where I was like, let's go outside. And they like, it was a chemical explosion. Go sit your ass down. Get on point, y'all. That's what we're going to be doing is wake my ass up too. Get me out the dungeon. Now, this is something else that happened. in Georgia that I think is going to affect us on the federal level as well eventually. Not only the voting thing we're going to get y'all up to date on, but this Appalachian school shooting, the grand jury indicted the actual mother and father, and this is the second time where a parent is being indicted or crucified for the actions of their children and not stopping it. So I'm talking to you guys from a parent. You know, I don't have babies there, and you don't have. Some of you don't have babies. Some of you do. And it's signs and symptoms of shit about to go down, and people just ignore it because we keep tolerating bad behavior and make bad behavior normal until it gets so toxic that somebody is hurt. Okay, you see why I don't deal with bad behavior? I don't have time for it. So Appalachian school shooting grand jury indicts Colt and Colin Gray. So Burrough County, Georgia, the grand jury indicted the father and son arrested in connection to the Appalachian high school shooting last month. That means that there is enough evidence for Colt and Colin Gray to face separate trials. The grand jury indicted the indictment formally charged them with combined total of 84 crimes. Colt Gray, 14 years old. Well, that's not worse than the 6-year-old that I told you that shot the teacher in the chest. You know what I'm saying? Okay. That's why we so numb. Like, yeah, you remember that happened? Ridiculousness. I'm just telling you. Let's just roll off our tongue like it's not better than the 6-year-old. Yeah, keep it moving. Now, Colt Gary, 14, is charged with 55 crimes, including malice and felony murder, aggravated assault, aggravated battery, and cruelty to children. Colin Gray, 54, is charged with 29 charges, including second-degree murder, involuntary manslaughter, reckless conduct, and cruelty to children. And he wasn't there. He wasn't there. Burrough County District Attorney Brad Smith said that he built both indictments around 25 victims from the September 4th unaliving. This includes 2 students unalived, 2 teachers, 1 teacher of 3 students who survived the unshot. I'm kind of like trying to block some words out, and 3 students who suffered grazed of the bullet. Okay, so in the total 25 victims, and the parents are being put on trial. Let me see. Is this it? Hold on.
Indicted Colt Gray on
Let's see.
the Appalachian school shooting. 4 people testified in front of the grand jury in Barrow
Yes.
County today, and the grand jury indicted Colt Gray on 55 charges, 29 charges for his father, Colin Gray. Channel 2's Courtney Francisco was live outside the courthouse with information about who testified there.
Linda, 2 agents from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, a detective from the Barrow County Sheriff's Office, and a victim advocate testified.
Grand juries meet in secret.
There are your indictments.
So our camera picks up when the judge announced the results.
Delivered into your hands for filing.
The indictment in that envelope said true bill, meaning Colt and Colin Gray are now formally charged with 84 crimes connected to the Appalachian High School shooting. And there's enough evidence for each of them to face trial.
There's a lot of things that we have to show to prove his knowledge and the warning signs that he had and the actions that he took over that time period.
Before deciding to indict, the district attorney said the grand jury heard 2.5 hours worth of testimony from 4 witnesses. He said he built the indictment around 25 people, 4 killed, 4 shot who survived, 3 students with shrapnel graze wounds, and 14 people in the line of fire.
Every kid in that school was a victim. Kids in all the other schools that were locked down during this were victims. Parents that were terrified about where their kids were.
The grand jury charged Colt Gray, the student and suspected shooter, with 55 crimes, including malice and felony murder, aggravated assault, aggravated battery, and cruelty to children. His father, Colin Gray, accused of giving him the gun to do it, indicted for 29 crimes, including second-degree murder, involuntary manslaughter, reckless conduct, and cruelty to children.
We hope this can start the process of healing for the community.
November 21st, the father and son will get a copy of their indictments in court and will have a chance to plead guilty or innocent. The DA predicts their attorneys will eventually argue a jury selected from this county can't be fair, but the DA says he's prepared to argue against a change of venue. Reporting live in Barrow County, Courtney Francisco, Channel 2 Action.
I don't know what a change of venue will actually do because people are sick of it. People are sick of it. And shout out to you, Miss Honeymoon. Blessings. Thank you for being with us. And I appreciate them holding the parents accountable too, because some of these predators are just reckless. Okay, I'm gonna just be honest. I yes, I put on my community page that basically I kind of do like volunteering. Depends if I like volunteer for football games out here in Atlanta. And the first group, not only the kids was turning, the kids was doing good. They were really into the game and everything, but the parents, they were disgusting. These were 6-year-old babies out there playing football. Babies, 7 years old. Parents like, yeah, kill them. That, I'm like, what? Okay, I was getting so frustrated about the parents' behavior that I just had to pray on it. I said, Lord Jesus Christ, shut her up. Shut her up for her saying aha to a 6-7-year-old. Charge the parents because they antagonize the situation. They basically train the kids in some of these behaviors. And that's why I was really like standoffish with even putting a guard you now in my son's hand. I told you guys recently I have done that, but he's 21. I had that guard you now since he was about 15, and I didn't put it in his hand. We did go to the gun range together, probably when he was 16, 17, possibly. But other than that, nah, not on my damn time, especially when I know they're emotional distress. Even right now at the age of 21, I'm like, shit. I don't know. Let me stop. No, but to be honest, people, the kids' emotional integrity, the things that they subjected to, especially these video games, they're very desensitized. So they're looking at, just pulling the trigger, doing things is normal because they do this in a video game and it's not any harm really coming to them instantly. It's nothing happening. So they look at a lot of these things numbly. Like if they could just shoot somebody, they're gonna be all right. It's just a person, just a body. They look at skin like not skin. Does that make sense? Because we're so in the AI world. So be very careful of how you raising your kids. We already know that. But also putting these guard you now in their hands. I know we in rare times where we like, hey, I'm with y'all. We gotta learn how to defend ourselves, make sure our family on the right time. But psychologically, if they're not prepared to handle that, and especially at those ages, we go through a lot at 15. When I was 15, I was worried about a bunch of dumb stuff. It was the end of the world. It was a lot. Do not put guns in these kids' hand. Yes, some of the lifestyle, they be so rough to the kids too. Like the way they talk to kids, the way that the kids build such you see what I'm saying? Because they're not loved and nurtured. So they don't give that off in society. We got to do better, but we can't be weak, y'all. Don't let them teenagers take advantage of you. You already know. Yes, they are. I do think because that's one of the topics I want to talk about. Not today. It's been some alleged missing Black people and hangings. That's going to be, but it's not only that. The hate, definitely. Prejudice, yeah. I think it's that. I think the hate and the prejudice, and that don't only deal with color. We have so many prejudices. Prejudice because you're fat. Prejudice because you're skinny. Prejudice because you ain't got no money. Prejudice because you with this. We got different prejudices. It don't have to be just based on the color. We have notions of people behavior because we put them in categories. That's what create prejudices. If you know what what prejudice is, not just based on a color. So you're 100% right. In a selfish world. So let's move forward. Now, this is something good before we get to Georgia, because Georgia is probably turning into like how can I say, the Washington, D.C. of the United States. Georgia on the damn map, especially Fannie Willis ass. But this is right here in a quarter of Georgia counties. Trained prison inmates are firefighters on the job. And I found this very interesting. I found it good. Okay. That was great because as I mentioned to you guys, my brother is doing time in the Jersey State Prison. And basically they use him as a second. This is second form of slavery, and I'm grateful that he's picking up some of the trades that he did because he know how to like what they do with wood, put wood together and make tables and things like that. He learned that trade out in there, but it's under a contract of IKEA, and IKEA is basically contract with the Jersey prisons to have people make their stuff, put their boxes together, things like that, which is a form of second slavery. Does that make sense? And my brother got like what, 50 cents an hour, $1 an hour, not even that. Okay, but this one I like. I really like. Let's play this. I appreciate this one. Okay.
Residential fire.
At Fire Station 2,
Fire coming out of windows.
one thing is inevitable.
It's a residential fire.
The calls will come.
This station alone runs 350 to 400 calls a year.
From someone in need within a 4-county area south of Atlanta. Someone who needs a hero amid a critical shortage of them.
Fire has visual or smoke and flames.
There's been a few calls where like we went on one, it was a house fire and we got there. We were the first engine there and we went in.
For Shane Tomlin, it's a calling he never expected.
I spent a lot of time taken from the community. Now it's time I can give back.
Because Station 2 is one of 19 in Georgia that sits within a prison fence.
For that amount of time that we're there, they don't think of us as inmates. They think of us helping them save their house or their car.
5 inmates at the Georgia Diagnostic Prison in Butts County, hand-selected to serve the community while they serve time for their crimes.
Everybody makes mistakes and they deserve a second chance. And they've gotten out here and really proved that they want to do right.
Chief BJ Maddox oversees the group, which is on call 24/7, working for free, living in the station instead of prison cells.
They're firefighter certified. When they leave here, they're turnkey ready.
A centuries-old law banning recent felons from being firefighters recently changed in Georgia.
You see, this is one of the issues we have all across America, and I really think that that's something we need to address. Not only the fact that people should be able to vote after becoming a felon, that's just bullshit, but also when you restrict them from becoming, going into certain positions, this causes more chaos, more crime. It keeps them in the same rat race, especially like places like Jersey. A lot of places is kind of cut off for people who are felons. You could come into Georgia because the whole Georgia, they want everybody to be a chain gang. They like, fuck you been on house arrest or you had a probation officer, you okay in Georgia, you still could work depending on the crime. I'm just keeping it real. They want everybody on papers out here. But this is good that this was lifted. So it gave them an opportunity to fill the positions that's needed. Like firefighters, they should have plumbing programs. They should have welding programs. I like that type of stuff. Give them a trade for when they come in. Also, I just got to mention, because I think outside the box, I'm like, damn, would they come in and be arsons and shit? I got to think on the backhand side. Like maybe they still need rehab. Rehab not only come with giving people skills, but also giving them spiritual and psychological support. Okay. When I talk about psychological support and spiritual support, I think that's interchangeable for me, because according to the Bible, a lot of the crazy things that was happening when they was casting out demons in the early part of the Bible, it's just like schizophrenic patients. So I was like, damn, reading the Bible, I was like, is this schizophrenic? Oh, what's going on here? Is this person multiple personalities? And what that goes to say, there has to be some spiritual aspect in development too, psychological. So I think that's where we're lacking when it comes to inside the prisons. And that's all prisons in the United States, because they're not here to rehabilitate people, but we have the most people locked up in the whole world. Where does that make sense? We have to address this. We could do it on a local level as well. If you have prisons inside in your town, because they pick certain towns too. and like, how you reforming these people? We don't want the criminals to come back out and do the same thing. So I like this program. I went in a little bit, but I'm always just kind of talk to get the conversation going. You see what I'm saying? What you think they should do as far as other programs for inmates in America, instead of just letting them conjugate together, figure out how to be super criminal, super predators. So shut the fuck up. I got jokes because we're gonna get to some Democrats today. We're gonna review the Kamala Harris interview on Fox. She bombed it. We're going to get to that. But what you think that we should do to reform our prisons? Because it's very important, because a lot of the population is locked up or have been locked up and cut off from different resources because of that, depending on what state they're in. So shout out to Georgia for this shit. And then I'm going to talk about their prison on the other side.
Allowing these inmates a chance to be hired outside prison once they've served their time inside.
I had to call my daughter and tell her, because I've never really stuck with anything in my life. It's something that I can do in the future. I have a plan now. I've never had a plan.
The prison
I love it.
Inmate firefighter program, now active in 35 Georgia counties.
Wait, let me stop. Where the fuck is Fulton County? Not here. Not in Fulton County, because we're going to get to Fulton County next. We got to talk, because that's the heart of it. That's the heart of the issues for the United States right now, because Fulton County is going after Trump, all these RICO cases. Fannie Mae is being sued, just like Kenya. We in the middle of this, and it's looking weird. Look at this. No fucking program. I just had to find. All right, let's just move forward. I don't want to dig this into the hole, but I do like this, okay? And on the flip hand side of it, I'm about to tell you what's going on in Fulton County. The shit. We did extensive videos about the knives, the drugs, the mixing between inmates and what are they called? I was about to call them security guards, but you know what I'm talking about. The security guards that's there. Actually, I could say security guards. You know why? Because Fulton County actually used a company that was like an unarmed guard company to help fill some positions in a jail. And the word on the street is that the contractor is suing Fulton County because they said they were never going to pay them for their services. Remember we mentioned that they walked out the prison, these guards, and one of the guards got caught bringing contraband in, like big contraband. Other prison guards have been mixing with YSL co-defendants. It's one co-defendant. His ass must be Rico Suave. I think he got 2 of those prison guards to get themselves in trouble. He probably got them impregnated too. It's ridiculous. It is bad. So the DOJ report calls conditions in Georgia prisons horrific. So this is the other side of the game.
We found that the violence is pervasive and endemic. From 2018 through
I will not ban fracking.
Roll the tape.
There's no favor of banning fracking.
Access to health
I
care
gotta laugh
should be a
at her
right.
because we're gonna talk about you. You coming up, Camilla. You right next. I gotta laugh at you, baby, because you ain't do well. You gotta do better, girl. Come on, fast forward. We just want to hear a little bit of what they're saying about the Georgia prisons. Just a little bit.
23, GDC reported a total of 142 homicides in its prisons. And the numbers spiked during that period. There were 48 homicides between 2018 and 2020, and 94 between 2021 and 2023, 95.8% increase in those latter 3 years. In 2019, the most recent year for which we have national data on homicides in prison, the rate of death by homicide for incarcerated people in GDC's custody was almost 3 times the national average.
We're gonna stop right there, okay? Because we can, you already know we do sessions on Atlanta news, and I'm gonna have to save that for Atlanta news and highlighting some of Fannie Willis issues that she have. outside of what we talked about, these RICO charges. They are on her butt about the prison system out here, how they're making weapons with the broken walls. I think I got a picture of some of the weapons up here. Hold on. Of the broken walls out here. Is this it? Look at that. Look at that. That's the conditions they talking about. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So let's move forward because I want to get to another amazing black woman. Well, Indian woman. Um, Also, look, before we get to our Indian candidate, I just want you guys to see another council meeting that went bad. All right, stop Cop City protest erupts during Atlanta City Council meeting. If you don't know about this, this is basically a training building that they're trying to put in the heart of Atlanta, and they've been trying to stop this from being put up. It got so bad that a bunch of people went down there. They were wilding. They got RICO charges too. They up in Fulton County for RICO charges. We put a flashback of that. I did that a while ago, so we're gonna do an update to that. Basically, they went out there with Monotel cocktails, makeshift like bottles that catch fire, throwing it at the cops, throwing fireworks at them. They were wilding. Now, I like protests. Y'all know I ain't mad at it, freedom of speech. But I was like, whoa, these motherfuckers wilding. Imagine you go to a protest and you think you about to just be like, protest, ha ha ha. And they start throwing firecrackers, little makeshift bombs and shit at the police. It was ridiculous. The police back there like this, they try to close the gate. It was funny, but not funny. So imagine that happened. So this is a continuation of this same subject matter. These people are under indictment for RICO. And that case is not publicized, but once I get more information, I'm going to keep y'all updated. But that's a flashback of this. Okay, let's listen. It's not funny, but it's funny because you gotta laugh at the tragedy. Imagine, you would never think that you would be like, what the that was happened to me at the Black Lives Matter protest. Let's listen to this.
At 5, an explosion of protests inside Atlanta City Hall in connection to the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center. This is a look from a little bit earlier, I do believe.
Yeah, we were watching all this unfold. Let's bring in Atlanta News First anchor Carly Burnett at the First Alert Breaking News Desk with more. Carly?
Well, Tracy Blair, I actually just got off the phone with reporter Patrick Quinn. He was giving me the latest on this. He says the protesters have just left City Hall. He did not see any arrests made. We have live pictures outside where they have gathered there. You can see that sign. They were holding that up in there, and it says, quote, Andre Dickens dropped the ball on democracy. All these people protesting the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center. So they're outside. They're making some remarks. Our reporter Patrick Quinn is out there now. At this point, there have been no arrests made, and the mayor actually was not in the meeting. That is according to our reporter. You can see there that these demonstrators are throwing ping pong balls, all with that message to the mayor.
See what I'm saying? Like, oh my God, just imagine being at this meeting and you like, I support the cause, but they just start wilding. This group of people, they turned up. They're about guerrilla warfare. I'm gonna just be honest. I'm laughing because it's funny. But it'd be scary if you were involved. Honeymoon, when I get a chance, I'm going to make you a moderator, okay? And I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Just definitely because you support. I love you. So imagine my ass would be like, oh my God, no. I like controversy, but not this much. Like, we got to do it a little different, but let's watch this.
This has been going on, you know.
Ping pong balls hurt. You can't do that.
Atlanta News First has been staying on top of these developments with those who have opposed the public safety.
Wait, imagine if this was Hilliard and y'all was throwing ping pong balls at Hilliard. Not giving y'all any suggestions, but this would be ridiculous.
Training center. They have wanted it to be up to a vote. So that is what they're arguing. You can see also police officers standing by watching this demonstration unfold. And we're going to take you back out live right now. You can see city council members were in there But again, nobody intervening as this demonstration took place. We see dozens of people in those neon green shirts. They say "Stop Cop City" on those. That's what opponents of the Public Safety Training Center have called it from the beginning, Cop City. So again, we have reporters on scene. Atlanta News First, we were the only ones.
We're gonna follow up to see what these plans of Cop City is, because I really don't know the detailed plans of it. But these people turned up, y'all. What are they doing with all of these golf balls? How did they get them in? They had a whole bunch of people with bags. I'm laughing, but it's not funny. We're gonna follow up with this. It's going down at AATL. Don't think that is not different for what's going on in your town. Okay. These people are ready to show down about this cop land. So we're going to follow up. We're going to also follow up on the RICO case if they put anything public, if they indicted people and things. I think they did. I think they started like I got to see. I think some of them already went to court. Okay, so now let's just get to this, because this is part of the whole United States. Okay, yes, Fulton County. Bad Fulton County. Fulton judge says Georgia laws require county election officials to certify results. So last week, I streamed a live about, in the last 2 weeks as well, you saw that it was a board meeting in Fulton County, and they were talking about the election process, about counting ballots, when people to certify the ballots, and when people make questions, like they ask about certain rosters, going through freedom of information requests. We showed you the court case where you were able to see how they say there's like Democrat lawyers against the board people, because they didn't want the law to change. So they were saying that the law was too restrictive. It would cause a burden if somebody was to ask for certain information and they deemed that it was possibly fraud or had any questions. They wanted to make sure that the people who had to certify the votes couldn't just say, well, I'm not certifying because I believe it's election fraud. Because in my opinion, there was some funny stuff that went on last year, and it just didn't go. I mean, last election, and it didn't just go on in Georgia. There were some states that you looked at, and then a couple hours later, it was thousands more votes that just came in. Thousands. Like, where did that come from? Oh, they were melting ballots, things like that. So it has to be some uniform approach to counting, because the same thing that we doing here in America as the international police going to other people's countries, like they're having fraudulent elections, they need a democracy. What the fuck is going on? What's going on around here? No cursing. What's going on around here? Okay. So Fulton judge says Georgia law requires county election officials to certify a result. This was October 15th. So that's following. We were trying to see what the judge's response were going to be. We saw both of their arguments. You saw me. I was like, they both sound weak and off. It was one person on the actual Democratic side that I liked the way he broke it down. He broke down both sides' arguments, how it apply, how it don't apply, and the burden that it would cause if the laws were passed or not. And I think the judge probably took his in consideration. That was probably the last 20 minutes of that whole 2-hour thing. Them going back and forth saying a whole lot of nothing. But anyway, I like to watch it. We kind of see what they say. We argue back with them. We had a few people there at that live talking, from their perspective. We have Democrat Republicans. We have people who are liberal. We have independent. All we ask is people respect each other, and we just talk. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes we could change each other's minds. Sometimes we can't. But it shouldn't be the objective to control people's opinion. So we did that. And this is a follow-up. So the Fulton County judge ruled Tuesday that county election board members cannot refuse to certify the election result. Superior Court Judge Robert McBurney, that's his name, Robert McBurney, ruling clarifies that the state election certification law mandates that local election officials certify elections. Now, what he was saying possibly is that it could be like you certify the election, but you can put like a note or a clause to say you had some questions about it. I was hearing some of that in the arguments, possibly as a mediation standpoint, like because they were like, you have to certify it. You just have to certify it. All right. So the law has been challenged in several lawsuits, including a complaint filed by the Republican Fulton County Election Board member Julie Adams. Okay, so I told you it was like the Democrats against the Republicans. You could tell in the crowd. Look at that. Look at them. Okay, who refused to join her colleagues to certify the March presidential preference primary. Okay, Adams abstained from voting in March to certify results, claiming that Fulton Election Board had illegally permitted itself to run elections in the county. She said it was plagued by sludge election operations in recent year. It's not. It don't say shady. Shady. It says show. It's not. I don't say shady. Anyway, Adams argued in the lawsuit that was that lady who was sitting there on the side. Y'all remember her? That's Adams. So argued in the lawsuit that the board members have the option to refuse to certify the election result if they have reason to believe that there was an inaccuracy. Okay. She also alleged that she was improperly denied access to the election records prior to certification. So that was some of the things she had to go through the Freedom of Information request to ask for this shit. I'm just saying that's ridiculous. If you want a boy, you should have access to all of that. And that's the same thing that they got going on in Dalton. Like, how you got to do a Freedom of Information request and you part of the board? What? Everything's supposed to be there so you can make the right decision. So the Fulton County Board of Registration and Election Counters, that certifying election result is purely a ministerial function of local election officials. The role of the election superintendent and county election board in certifying election is ministerial and mandatory, despite the fact that many other aspects of their positions are discretionary. So everything else is up to your discretion, but this right here, you got to do it. This is what Ms. Burry wrote. Okay, so Ms. McBurry ruling comes as Georgia voters head to the polls Tuesday for the start of the 3-week early voting period for November 5th election. Okay, so this is one of the things that don't only affect us in Georgia, but it's going to affect you as a nation, because these are one of the deciding states. This is Georgia, yes, and Georgia turned blue allegedly last election. I'm just watching. I have no dog in the fight, because I do believe some weird shit happened. I don't care. I was like, how that number jumped here in different states. I was just watching. This is weird to me. So they was like, oh, mail-in ballots. So I was like, what the? Oh, I know a lot of people moved to Georgia, but damn, we all Democrat? Bunch of Democrat? Right. Fulton County judge ruled that elections must be certified. So we said that. So we know that it got to be certified no matter what. If you feel like it's some shady business, you got to certify it. How weird is that? All right. Judge has halt hand counting rules as election day nears. This is 14 hours. Okay. Now, that was one of the issues as well. They were talking about the hand counting, the discrepancies in that and how it can happen. And that's what mail-in ballots do, is hand counting, right? Or do y'all got a machine like in the Jetsons where y'all kind of load it up? Like the money counter, you know how the Jetsons, the Jetsons got all the technology doing it, but they're saying that it's human error with the counting and all types of stuff. So let's listen. Georgia Judge Holt's hand counting rules as election near. We just gonna depend on AI anyway. Let's watch this.
Reaction to a decision that impacts the way ballots will be counted election night in Georgia.
Yeah, this one was pretty controversial. So in the last 12 hours, a judge ruled to block the plan to hand count all the ballots election night, November 5th. 11 Alive's Ariana Manish joining us live this morning from the state capitol.
Ariana, talk us through what the decision means for election night specifically.
Well, Cheryl, now that this rule has been blocked, it means that we are now expecting election results to come in much faster on November 5th. Now, critics of this law, they were concerned that with this rule in place, it will cause reporting delays and even confusion on election night. Now, this was one of many laws passed by the Republican-led state election board just last month. It required that 3 poll workers each hand count the paper ballots, not the votes, but the paper ballots by hand once polls close. Now, the rule was set to take effect next Tuesday, which is just 2 weeks away from Election Day. But now Fulton County Superior Court Judge Robert McBurney is blocking the enforcement of the rule after the Cobb County Election Board filed a lawsuit. Judge McBurney, he wrote in his decision that the rule would be implemented too close to the election and that it would cause administrative chaos given the limited time available to train poll workers.
Stop. I said, ooh. I'm telling you, I told y'all, I love y'all. Y'all know what I do. I really don't participate because this shit. And I feel some type of way. It was a process where they're trying to implement where 3 people go back and recount. That's called auditing. You have to audit even the things that come out of the computer. See, you see when you want stuff fast, instant gratification. Now they're using that. Well, we have to get faster results. No, we can wait 24 hours and be like back in the day. I think it was election when we waited a little while. You could wait while 3 different sets of hands count and see if we get the same number. Oh, this is scary. This is scary to me. I don't like this. And the judge talking about it's too soon to implement. What? To tell and to train people and say you got to count 3 times. 3 people? Rotate them. 6, 12, 18. 3 6-hour shifts. Times 3 people. You see what I'm saying? You got 9 people you need. And they count for 6 hours. Take a break, 3. Come back. Count. The next shift come in. What is the problem? What's so complicated? Am I crazy? Am I crazy? Am I looking at this wrong? You tell me what you think they should do. I don't see a problem with recounting. I don't see a problem with verifying. I see a problem of moving things too fast and not verifying it to me. But I don't participate, so I probably need to shut the hell up, right?
We spoke to Gabriel Sterling with the state Secretary of State's office before this rule was passed to see how he felt about the mandated hand counting ballot rule.
Well, it's not really hand counting of the ballots, it's on the number of ballots that were cast. So let's make it clear. I don't want people thinking they're sitting there counting every single contest on these ballots. I think it's not a bad idea in concept, but you need a lot of time and training to do it. Doing the last minute is a little more irresponsible than we'd like to see.
Now, those other rule changes have caused controversy and even resulted in other lawsuits, like the one where county election officials, they were able to submit what was called a reasonable inquiry rule. Now, Judge McBurney, he just filed a decision on that rule where he says that county officials, they must certify the election by the deadline stated by the law.
We're going to look into what is the reasonable inquiry rule because that lady was suing too because of Freedom of Information Department didn't provide her with the information she needed to feel like she could certify because she had questions. You see what I'm saying? So we're going to follow up with this. This affects the whole United States. This is a primary state. Do y'all think Georgia's going to turn back Republican? Tell me what you think. Do you think it's going to turn back Republican? Or it's going to stay Democrat because of this rule? Shut up, y'all. I just got to keep it real. Crooked Joe is Crooked Joe do. It is on both sides, but I got to sock it to the Democrats. They be on some bull, especially when we see how Kamala, she didn't do too well. But we're going to talk about that. All right, what is this? Threats against FEMA workers hamper hurricane recovery issues. I know I mentioned that earlier. I just want y'all to see the clip of that, how they're trying to change the narrative. We did have Honeymoon. You said that you're out there close to that area, and there's been some things that they're covering up just so y'all can. So it's not just me talking about it. Y'all see where I watch everything. This is on today.
This morning, growing safety fears for government workers in Western North Carolina, supporting ongoing recovery efforts from Hurricane Helene. According to the Washington Post, an urgent message was sent to numerous federal agencies on Saturday, warning FEMA has advised all federal responders in Rutherford County, North Carolina, to stand down and evacuate the county immediately, adding that National Guard troops had come across trucks of armed militia, saying they were out hunting FEMA. NBC News has not seen the email cited by the Post, and it's unclear whether the threat mentioned was seen as credible. North Carolina Republican Congressman Chuck Edwards addressing the reported threats on MSNBC.
We had 2 counties with folks reported with different militia groups attacking and threatening FEMA.
In a statement to NBC News, FEMA writing in part, for the safety of our dedicated staff and disaster survivors we are helping, FEMA has made some operational adjustments. According to the agency, disaster recovery centers remained open, but at least 2 counties said FEMA staff would not appear at other planned locations Sunday, with officials in Ashe County saying the agency had paused their process as a precaution.
Let's stop there. Yeah, that's ridiculous because I look at this too. I'm just telling you, I look at this as cat. I'm gonna be honest because people were saying that FEMA was not providing the resources. There are people boots down on the ground that, and especially in those mountain areas, there's a lot of YouTubers that's out there showing what's happening. People's houses is demolished, and they're saying that they can't even get the $750. So the question is, if this is an organization that's set here to help the people, and we know that this is an organization to help the people, this ain't a third world country like Haiti. You can't just make shit up and be like, the people just wilding and just run with it because that's what they do to us. Like, they just wilding for no reason. Why is Americans acting like militias to go after FEMA? Let's dig into the narrative before making a decision on what's real and what's not. Why would they do that? The why behind that is very important. Do you think that it may be some validity to some of these videos about FEMA workers stopping people who are trying to get to their family and bring aid? Because I watch the videos. I watch them. I don't care. Sometimes I watch everybody's video. I don't just watch them mainstream. I'm watching someone who lived out there. They ass is driving their truck for 15 minutes. And then they get to a stop at the tree and be like, look at this, guys. And this is a local. That's the shit that I watch. And I've been seeing a lot of locals basically complaining about FEMA. So it's just ridiculous to me and a little weird that the narrative is changing. Like, I'm the victim. We're the victim. They're coming after us. Is FEMA pulling a Henyard? I'm shutting up. What is going on in here? So the people that's out there still doing your thing, meaning helping the community around, as I said, Honeymoon said, not me, Honeymoon said a while ago and brought me this to my attention, and I like to say, and be a good neighbor. But you need to be a good neighbor to the people who are going to work with you. So I know there are people who are banding together. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep striving. Don't let them control the narrative, because I don't believe that Americans are going after FEMA. You can run that on Haiti. I'm gonna let y'all lie on Haiti. Like, they're attacking the Salvation Army workers. They're doing that because you're stealing kids. I'm just playing. Shut up, y'all. Shut up. I had to throw that in there. I know it's early morning. They like, no, we don't need your help. You know, and the news bring it up here. They're fighting. They're setting the orphanages on fire. You should think, why? But let's move forward. That's just a made-up story. They're not doing that. I was just throwing stuff out there. Okay, before we get to Kamala Harris, because we're about to get to it, 2 things that's very important. This is which one should be first? You want to do the AI? Let's just watch this video real quick. We're living in a world, the Terminator. It came to life today. Look at this. You think that these smart AI bots gonna keep on doing this shit? I was watching this video and they call us slow. They're like, can you dance? Can you move? This intelligent whatever, and it's not a species, but I'm gonna say, what did they say? They said that it is not, it came to life. It has, what did they call it? like an essence that came to with these AI. I forgot the name. It's gonna pop in my head, and they communicate with each other. But check this out. This is Tesla rolling out with the car, with the bots, and this is something I reported months and months ago, where China is coming out with a whole fleet of these. I'm gonna see, can I find the video for you guys?
How many actuators do I have? Well, I'm sorry, can I actually have everyone to take one step backwards? Thank you. I do need space to function.
Just listen to some of the questions that they asked him. We gotta do better. These things gonna chop our fucking head. Excuse me. They gonna chop our head off. And you're like, stop asking me to dance. They like, I'm an intelligent being. Watch this.
He sounds like you are.
Like, here.
Sitting on my arms, I can only count 1, 2, 3, 4. I can only see 4 at the moment. What about on your legs? I'm not really sure. Oh. No way. Don't be worried. We understand you, Bruce. How are you today? I'm doing very good. How are you? Doing great, man. Can you do a deep in like me?
Look at that. Like, yay! They're gonna chop everybody head. He gonna pull out the thing like everybody here gonna be like, oh, y'all better stop playing with this AI. We're gonna do a detail. I'm being funny. That's the scary funny. Like, nigga, y'all better stop playing.
What's your favorite song to dance to? My favorite type of song to dance to? Yeah. I'm a big fan of EDM. He uses a lot of electronics. Yes. Yeah. It's pretty funny. Who's your favorite artist? My favorite artist? Music art. Thank you very much. When you come to market, I'll take 2. I'm sorry. What's that? When you come to market, I'll take 2.
Now I'm gonna stop here. Y'all probably don't find this as intriguing as me. You see, I'm fucking intrigued. We cannot do this. We cannot go down the path of Jetsons. We're not ready, y'all. We're not ready. We're gonna do a full live on AI. Okay. China and America is in another war to create the best and strongest bots. So we're going to do a flashback of that, and we're going to show you where China's at versus Tesla. Even I want to get an update on the brain chip. Y'all remember the brain chip that Elon Musk tried to put in somebody's head, and it's like this size of a nickel? Y'all remember none of this. There's some of the shit I've been talking about for the last year and a half on my trending topic. So I'm just going to flash back and just keep on. Big ass thing this big, putting a bore in people's head. I said, oh, you could have did better. You could have did better. Go put that big old thing in somebody's head. Now, let's get into Trump. Just a little bit of Trump. Trump calls for the death penalty for migrants who kill American citizens. So we're going to kind of just give you an intro about this because we do talk about the migrants, and we haven't talked a lot about Trump. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to possibly. Trump don't incite me. I'm gonna be honest. She don't either. I guess y'all probably not gonna like this. I wrote Trump off. Like, Trump is who he is. I don't think that he has my best interest in mind as a Black woman. He has his best interest in mind for himself and his business partners. And even outside of being a Black woman, I think that I don't fit in the geographics of who he support, which is big business owners behind a lot of these inflation issues and housing issues. I definitely think that that's his friends. So I don't talk about Trump because I wrote him off. Yeah. Maybe I'll follow up because I was going down a path of showing Agenda 2025 and also Trump Agenda 42. And both of them are horrific to me. I don't think it serves the underserved community. And underserved doesn't mean black. It means us that's broke, like you and me. Okay. That pay a lot of taxes. That's struggling to get our kids to school. The college is inflated. Insurance is inflated. Healthcare is inflated with bad healthcare. So much. And that's not what these people are talking about. I don't want to just hear a slogan. I want a fucking plan. I don't think neither one of them. So I just want to give you a heads up of why I don't talk about Trump too much. I don't fucking have the energy for him. The first 6 months of his election was enough for me to just poop me the fuck out. To say, hey, you better focus on yourself. Focus on, like, it's true. Some of the things he said woke us up. You need to create a business. You need to be self-sufficient. America was built on small business and individual communities. So he did spark a light in my head. I'll talk about him because I definitely know he ain't for me. He don't give a damn about me. Trump don't give a fuck about us. It is what it is. A lot of it is just publicity. Get back in that position. Do I think he will be better than what we're going to see today with Kamala? In some aspects, yes. A lot of aspects, especially if we have to go through another 4 year of this migration shit. We won't survive it. Something got to change, and I know he's gonna shut that down. But in the back of my mind, I still remember him saying when they talked about this, and he was like, "How are we gonna get people to take it?" And he was like, "Well, we have armies, we have generals, we have the people who make people do things." And that clip is out there. And the DO Department of Defense was the people who had the rollout of it. I read a lawsuit that was against them, and because of the vaccine. So, but in the back of my head, people be double talking. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So I'm kind of like, stay out of it, but we're gonna talk about it because I know a lot of you guys are interested. And I do believe that some form of voting and being aware of what goes on around you on a local level and federal level is very important. But some things I just can't deal with. This shit give me a headache. So let's just listen to this.
Of the United States, President Donald J. Trump. And I'm proud to be an American.
Oh my God. Come on. He's so weird. I'm surprised he didn't come out on no damn rap. You know how they do. They be pandering. That was a long.
To be back in this beautiful state with thousands of proud, hardworking.
Let me see.
American.
I'm done. One more thing, y'all. I'm done. And I'm gonna say this. Y'all know y'all love Trump. Where the fuck is the piece of his ear missing? Where is it? Am I the only one that see this shit? Where was the missing piece of the ear? If the bullet went hink, it's supposed to be a piece of the ear missing. Cosmetic surgery? Huh? I'm moving forward. That's why I was not fucking around with people emotions. Got our young people just numb because of shit. Where is the missing part of the ear? Did y'all see it? It's a full ear. But I move forward.
Patriots, that's what you are.
Look, the full ear.
Still recovering from the hurricanes that hit Florida, Georgia, North Carolina. But my message today is very simple. No person who has inflicted the violence and terror that Kamala Harris has inflicted on this community can ever be allowed to become the president of the United States. We're not going to let it happen. It's a woman, Danielle Jurinsky.
All right,
And now America is known all throughout the world
I
as.
want you to get to say you about to lock them up. That's it.
We will close the border. We will stop the invasion of illegals into our country. We will defend our territory. We will not be conquered. We will not be conquered. We will reclaim our sovereignty, and Colorado will vote for Trump as a protest and signal to the world that we are not going to take it anymore. We're not going to take it anymore.
Subliminal message. She said you will vote for me in protest. We will not take it. But allegedly, according to this, when we get back to our full migrant broadcast, Trump calls for the death penalty for migrants who kills American citizens. So that was something that we had showed in our last broadcast when they were talking about the migrant crisis. We had saw that hearing, and one of the parents was talking about her daughter that was unalive. So we're going to move on. I just wanted to let y'all know why I don't talk about Trump that much. But then we're going to go to the other side. We're going to tickle some feathers. So here, Kamala Harris is interviewed on Fox News. So this was the other day. It was like 24 hours ago. Girl, the hell wrong with you? You had enough years to get it together. Shit, at least come up with a good plan. I mean, like, at least have some good talking points. Shit, look at her. She fumbled the ball. Let's listen. They said that she's so desperate that she went on Fox News. And she has never been on Fox News, allegedly, at any point of her career. So she lost the vote of black men, black women, people who are not supporting the migration issue. And he asked her key questions, and this bitch walked around it. And I want y'all to hear what she said. I want y'all to hear what she said. She's like a federalist. Like she gonna sell us out something, right? Just listen to her. She weird.
Is one of the key issues that they're looking at this election, and specifically the influx of illegal immigrants from more than 150
And just to let y'all know, this is our last topic for today, okay?
countries. How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have, and you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but do you
know? The question is, how many?
Just a number. Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Brett, let's just get to the point. Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
So your Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have
It's a
an
rough
immigration
estimate of 6 million people
that
have been
needs to be-
released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question. I promise you.
That's when you know somebody backfooting and pussyfooting. That's what they call it. Talking around it. He just asked for a number.
I was beginning to answer.
And when you came into office, your administration immediately reversed a number of Trump border policies. Most significantly, the policy that required illegal immigrants to be detained through deportation, either in the U.S. or in Mexico. And you switched that policy. They were released from custody awaiting trial. So instead, included in those were a large number of single men, adult men, who went on to commit heinous crimes. So, looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate Remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
At the beginning of our administration, within practically hours of taking the oath, the first bill that we offered Congress, before we worked on infrastructure, before.
Oh my God, this is a Hindu. She gets on my nerve like Hindu. That's why I really don't talk about her. She pisses me off. I'm gonna be honest because I see through her, and I know what she did. You know, she sent single mothers to jail because of truancy, because they badass kids. You drop your kids there in the morning in the front door, and the kids walk out. She made people lose their job, put them in jail. I was fucking disgusted. I'm sorry. I'm feeling like a Hindu. Stop cursing. Don't be like that. We're in the morning show. Oh, she pisses me off, but I'm gonna move forward. I can't trust her.
before the Inflation Reduction Act, before the Chips and Science Act, before the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. The first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021. It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the. Yes, ma'am.
May I finish responding, please?
But
you have to let me finish.
You
please.
had the White House and the House and the Senate,
I'm
and
in
they
the
didn't
middle
bring up
of
that
responding to
So-
the point you're raising.
Okay.
Listen to what he says. They had all three levels to get this bill through. Why didn't it go through? And they keep blaming Trump for this. Y'all have to really listen.
And I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
Finish.
We recognized from day one that, to the point of this being your first question, it is a priority for us as a nation and for the American people. And our focus has been on fixing a problem. And from day one, then, we have done a number of things, including to address our asylum system and put more resources, getting more judges, what we needed to do to tighten up penalties and increase penalties for illegal crossings, what we needed to do to deal with points of entry between border entry points. That's the work we did, and we worked on supporting what was a bipartisan effort, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, to actually strengthen the border. That border bill would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border, which is why I believe the Border Patrol agents supported the bill. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States, which is a scourge affecting people of every background, every geographic location in our country, killing people. It would have allowed us to put more resources into prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, which I have done as the Attorney General, former Attorney General of a border state.
Madam Vice President, a couple of times.
I'm sorry, she gaslighting me. She sound like a hen. Like, I have been the first black mayor. That's basically her way of saying she did something.
Trafficking of drugs, guns, and human beings. And Donald Trump, but let me just finish.
Six Democrats voted against that bill.
Learned about that bill and told them to kill it because he preferred to run on a problem instead of.
So she's blaming Trump for the bill, but he's telling you he's going to show the Democrats that actually killed the bill. So are some of the Democrats working with the Republicans to sabotage each other? Is that what you're saying here? I'm trying to figure out, because if that's what you're saying, that's exactly why GraceLevi is the way she is, and no one had nothing to do with the bullshit. But I'm just trying to figure this out, because she keep blaming Trump. How did he made a phone call? He killed the bill. So did he call these 6 people?
Fixing a problem. And in this election, this is rightly a discussion that the American people want to have. And what they want are solutions, and they want a president of the United States who's not playing political games with the issue,
I hear you.
but actually is focused on fixing
6
it.
Democrats voted against that bill. It would have allowed 1.8 million illegal immigrants.
Look at you, Cory Booker. And Sanders, you did too? I had to pause because I like Sanders. What do you got going on? What do you got? We needed a border bill. I don't know what this border bill was, but we needed something, because whatever she did not get passed, allegedly, it just turned the tides, because this wasn't going on when Trump was in the office. I'm just going to be honest. Shit. Excuse me. They said, oh, I was talking to somebody, he built a stupid fence. It was people could jump over it. Well, it's better than these thousands of people just walking on by. That's something better than nothing. Listen, I'm not surprised at Cory Booker. He came from Jersey. He literally used Newark as a stepping stone. When Mayor Shopton got locked up for doing what Henry's was doing, selling property, gentrifying Newark, Mayor Cory Booker came in afterwards, tricked the people. I'm just gonna be honest. He was so good at what he did. He moved himself from wherever he came from. He came in like Obama. I don't know where the hell he came from. And he moved into one of the worst hoods in Newark and solicit votes, help people, did some things, but he kind of stepped on Newark and moved forward and kind of sold us out to a lot of his corporate elite people. So they went about it the right way, getting buildings, because they pretty much bought them at whatever value it was and kind of priced a lot of us out. just to kind of go to the left because I say Cory Booker, this motherfucker. So you were against the bill, the 6 Democrats. There you go. Did Trump call them? I'm just saying because they keep blaming Trump. So I'm trying to figure out, because people don't like when I ask these detailed questions. They're like, no, don't ask that. Don't ask that. Well, I'm asking.
It's into the country a year. A lot of conservatives had a problem with it. These are the 6 Democrats. But more importantly, back to the original premise, Jocelyn Nungari, Rachel Morin, Laken Riley, they are young women who were brutally assaulted and killed by some of the men who were released at the beginning of the administration, well before a negotiated bipartisan bill. Former President Clinton actually referred to Laken Riley Sunday campaigning for you in Georgia, saying if those men had been properly vetted, Laken Riley probably would not have been killed. So if it would...
There's a few people who were murdered by migrants who literally had just came here a couple of months ago and had criminal history. One young lady was in Georgia as well. It was a college student out here.
Have happened. This is well before any negotiation. This is well before Donald Trump got involved in the politics. This is a specific policy decision by your administration to release these men into the country. So what I'm saying to you, do you owe
Brett,
those families an apology?
Let me just say, first of all, those are tragic cases. There's no question about that. There is no question about that. And I can't imagine the pain that the families of those victims have experienced for a loss that should not have occurred. So that is true.
Don't say the past. Please don't say the past can't be undone.
It's also true that if a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border, more support for the folks who are working around the clock trying to hold it all together.
Madam Vice President.
To ensure that no future harm would occur. And this election in 20 days will determine whether we have a president of the United States who actually cares more about fixing a problem, even if it is not to their political advantage.
I want y'all to listen to, because she says something that's very important to me.
In an election, because there was a solution, Brett.
Madam Vice President, it was a policy decision in the early part of your administration. I will let one of the mothers talk about it. Take a listen.
Because of the Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States. It was not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter, Jocelyn Nungari's life. I believe the Biden-Harris administration open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
That's the early days. So do you owe them an apology?
I will tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I am so sorry for her loss, sincerely. But let's talk about what is happening right now with an individual who does not want to participate in solutions. Let's talk about that as well. Brett.
You talking about Trump?
In all fairness, I told you I feel awful
Deflection.
for what she and her family have experienced.
During that time, you said repeatedly that the border was secure. When in your mind did it start becoming a crisis?
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration, even before.
Broken.
Let's all.
When she said broken, when did it become a crisis? She's talking around. You see what I'm saying? I want some answers.
Be honest about that. I have no pride in saying that this is a perfect immigration system. I've been clear, I think we all are, that it needs to be fixed. We need more. I was just down at the border talking with border agents, and they will tell you, and I'm sure I know you investigate and you are a serious journalist. They will tell you, we need more judges.
Guess what they say about the border agents? They don't support her. They sick of it. They sick of it. We'll listen.
We need to process those cases faster. We need the support for those cases that should be prosecuted. They need more resources, and Congress ultimately is the only place that's going to get fixed, Brett.
Well,
that's how this system works.
That's the premise of this question. There were 90 plus executive orders that were rescinded in the first days. Many of those were Trump border policies. I'm not going to stay here because there's other things to talk about, but you frequently talked to the Border Patrol Union for support of that bipartisan bill, and they did. They supported it. But they also just endorsed Donald Trump and said, you've been, quote, a failure with border security. Why do you think they said that?
Failure.
I think they're frustrated, and I get it. They want support. They want support, and that's what that border security bill would have done. These guys down at the border, these men and women, they're working hard. They're working around the clock. I get it.
There's a lot of people that look back at what you said in 2019 when you first ran for president. And there have been changes, and you've talked about some of them. When it comes to immigration, you supported allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's license, to qualify for free tuition at universities, to be enrolled in free health care. Do you still support those things?
Listen, that was 5 years ago, and I'm very clear that I will follow the law. I have made that statement over and over again. And as
Now listen to this. She's never saying she doesn't support or nothing. She keeps saying she's going to follow federal law. That's why I think she's a federalist. And that is a problem. That's a problem because federalists is people who are like connected to the United Nations, look at the best interests of the people on a global level, not a state by state level. And once we get global conversations going about regulations, rules, and these type of partnerships that connect to each other, we on a local level, if that is such set in stone, does this make sense? Or supersedes what's going on with us because we're getting funding from the feds, just like they did with this, where people was in trouble and the state was like, fuck it, well, I will need your federal funding. Does that make sense? This is what scares me about her. Listen to what she says. We follow federal laws. And remember this, just because it's law doesn't mean that it's right. A lot of laws was put in place in the United States. Black codes, slavery was legal. Can I say more? Were they right? Were they right? Because they were law. Please answer that.
As Vice President of the United States, that's exactly what I've done, not to mention before.
If that's the case, you chose a running mate, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, who signed those very things into state law. So do you support that?
We are very clear, and I'm very clear, as is Tim Walz, that we must support and enforce federal law, and that is exactly what we will do.
So decriminalizing border crossings, like you said in 2019.
I do not believe in decriminalizing border crossings, and I've not done that as vice president. I will not do that as president.
So these are evolutions that you've had.
But let's be very clear. I'm the only person who's running for president who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations from the Sinaloa.
We know you prosecuted a whole lot of people, and Americans, we afraid of that shit, especially when you say, I follow federal law. What about our state law? What about our human rights? Huh? You know, federal laws is made by men, made by your friends. I'm just saying, it's scary. Listen closely to what she's saying.
Sinaloa cartel, to the Guadalajara cartel, to people who have trafficked in guns, drugs, and human beings. I have spent a significant part of my career going after people who present a threat to the safety of the American people and cross our border with the intent of doing us harm and cross our border illegally. And I will do that work as vice president. I take that work quite seriously.
This is a time when voters, especially here in Pennsylvania, are inundated with commercials and ads. They just want it to stop because it's every commercial. But many of them add noise, but a few of them seem to break through. This particular one from the Trump campaign has gotten a lot of attention.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery. For prisoners. For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Let's just stop right here. What was it me just talking about what the prisons need in the United States? And we don't need this shit. We don't. Do y'all think we need that? Let's move forward.
So are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens to transition to another gender?
I will follow the law. And it's a law that Donald Trump actually followed. You're probably familiar with, now it's a public report, that under Donald Trump's administration, these surgeries were available on a medical necessity basis to...
What is a medical necessity that you have to change your gender? That is the only mental illness where you can get the most biggest drastic change ever done in the United States. Body dysmorphia. That's what that's called. Any other mental illness, you don't get funded to fix it or to whatever they're doing. This is weird. This is weird.
People in the federal prison system. And I think, frankly, that ad from the Trump campaign is a little bit of like throwing, stones when you're living in a glass house.
The Trump aides say that he never advocated for that prison policy and no gender transition surgeries
you know what? You got to take responsible for what happened in your administration.
Yeah, no surgeries happened in his presidency.
It's in black and white.
Would you still advocate for using taxpayer dollars for gender reassignment
I will
surgeries?
follow the law, just as I think
You're going to have to change that. Because we need funders to do something else, like put these people in workforce programs and give them skills like what we just saw, like firefighters. But you okay with that? I will follow the law. Listen, y'all, she's scary.
Donald Trump would say he did.
You would have a say as president.
Like I said, I think it's real. He spent $20 million on those
about Trump
ads, trying to.
This is frustrating. We're going to just sit a little bit more, and I'm about to sign off. I'm gonna let y'all watch this for yourself, but this is another gaslighting, manipulative thing. This is what I have to even tell my kids. When I'm getting on you and we're talking about you, why are you talking about what your sister did? Oh, she did it too. That is deflection. That is deflection and manipulation. That's what she keep pointing back to Trump. Let's talk about you. And then this is so funny because this is another part I want to get to. It's just we have to get to it because she couldn't answer this.
Create a sense of fear in the voters because he actually has no plan in this election that is about focusing on the needs of the American people. Whereas at $20 million on that ad, on an issue that, as it relates to the biggest issues that affect the American people, it's really quite remote. And again, his policy was no different. Look at where we are, though.
They say
on plans for the American people, I'm offering a plan to deal with affordable housing. I'm offering a plan to deal with what we need to do.
Somebody was talking about that last night when I went to that marketing event. Like she's going to make 2 million houses affordable. How are you going to do that? Hold on. Because if you put pressures on the landlords to say, okay, I'm putting a federal law out to say that you can't charge this much or this percentage of the fair market value or your bills or something like that, whatever way she set it up, the pressure is going to still be on us, the private investors, us, the public. And it's not going to really get on to the bank where the market's inflated because of the people who own the property. So she has to cap these hedge funds that's purchased all these properties. Also, the interest rate is through the fucking roof. The requirements for loans, FHA loans, need to be changed. People have literally been ungainfully employed for like on and off. There needs to be a major reform. So I wonder what she's actually planning on doing because I don't want to hear, I need 200,000 houses available. Who is going to suffer and how the hell is it going to work? I don't want to hear the punchline.
To strengthen small businesses, which are the backbone of America's economy. I am offering a plan that is about taking care of young parents and giving them the support they need. My plans for the economy will strengthen the economy, as have been reviewed by 16 Nobel laureates, Goldman Sachs.
Stop. This is important too. Her plan, listen to the people who reviewed her plan. Listen to the people. Are they us or are they big corporations just like Trump who support Trump? Listen.
Moody's and recently the Wall Street Journal, and giving them the support they need. My plans for the economy will strengthen the economy, as have been reviewed by 16 Nobel laureates, Goldman Sachs, Moody's, and recently the Wall Street Journal, which have all studied our plans and have indicated my plans for our economy would strengthen our economy, his would make them weaker, would ignite inflation and invite a recession by the middle of next year. Those are the facts.
Why do you think more people say they trust him on the economy than they trust you?
I think that when you look at an analysis of our plans for what we would do as president of the United States, it has been clear to those who study and understand how economic policy works that moving forward, because I do believe the American people are ready to turn the page on the divisiveness and the type of rhetoric that has come out of Donald Trump. People are ready to chart a new way forward, and they want a president who has a plan for the future and a plan that is sound and will strengthen our country. My plan for the economy does exactly that. His plan would be, again, to give tax cuts to billionaires and the biggest corporations in our country and blow up our deficit.
It's interesting you said turn the page, Madam Vice President. You were asked on 2 different shows last week what, if anything, you would do differently than President Biden. Here's what you said.
Listen.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I noticed.
And so that would be one change in terms of, but also I think it's important to say with, 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump.
So you're not Joe Biden, you're not Donald Trump, but nothing comes to mind that you would do differently?
Let me be very clear. My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency. And like every new president that comes into office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership. I, for example, am someone who has not spent the majority of my career in Washington, D.C. I invite ideas, whether it be from the Republicans who are supporting me, who were just on stage with me minutes ago, and the business sector, and
she scared me.
Others who can contribute to the decisions that I make about, for example, my plan for increasing the supply of housing in America and bringing down the cost of housing. Addressing the issue of small businesses, which is about working with the private sector to bring more capital and access to capital to our small business leaders, including my plan for a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers and for small businesses, extending the tax deduction from $5,000 to $50,000.
That's not enough. No, I'm sorry. First and foremost, what she said to me was scary when she said, "Oh, I'm not like them because I haven't been in Washington my whole life, and you have a different way of thinking. You think like a prosecutor. It's dangerous. Prosecutors think from a whole different perspective. If you watch what goes on in the YSL trial and the marked behavior between the defense and prosecutors, they are Joe Catch a Dog. Whatever they feel is their target, they're going to just do it no matter who they hurt, no matter what the hell goes on. That was scary to me. Now, she went in a little bit about her housing plan, which is, I'm tired of hearing this shit. Excuse my language. I'm tired of tax deductions on the backside. What the hell are we going to do with tax credits? I don't want tax credits. I want them to lower the interest rate. I want them to lower the amount of the housing market. That's what I think I want. I don't want tax credits no more. I'm tired of tax credits. Ain't y'all tired of tax credits? And then you want to give $25,000 for people who qualify as first-time home buyers. How many people actually qualify as first-time home buyers right now? You at least have to have 1.5 years. And if you're working part-time, that's 2 years of consecutive pay stubs, W-2s, taxes filed. This is a whole damn process. And most of us are knocked out the market. That's why I do what I do as a real estate legal consultant, getting y'all into tax liens and tax deeds. We locked out the market. So I don't really like her plan. I don't like it. I don't need $25,000 in credit because a lot of people won't be able to even get it because they don't qualify. You got to qualify first. Even when they were talking about like, and I want y'all to watch the rest of this for yourself, but I wanted y'all to hear some key things, especially when she talked about we gonna follow the law. What about what the hell the people want? The law ain't always right. But as we was about to say, I hope the third didn't go out my head. We're talking about the it was one more thing I was just about talking. I think I just jumped out. That was God saying, you at the 2-hour mark. It's enough. So I think we're going to kind of like wrap it up because I think that last I had one more thing I wanted to say. Let me see if it come back to me because it was important. It was about this.
Heard a lot about those plans in recent days. Your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years. So what are you turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we've been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country.
I'm sorry, I was waiting for her to say the word in the past that can't be undone, that has been burdened. I was just waiting for her to say her major punchline. That's just been, so she's saying, listen, can I just replay this so I can shut up? This is our last part.
We have been burdened with small businesses extending the tax deduction from $5,000 to $50,000.
We've heard a lot about those plans in recent days. Your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years. So what are you turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we've been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country and have Americans literally point fingers at each other. Rhetoric and an approach to leadership that suggests that the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down instead of what we all know. The strength of leadership is based on who you lift up. The strength of an American president, which is one who understands that the vast majority of us have more in common than what separates us.
Madam
That
Vice
is
President, more than
turning the
70% of people
That is
tell
about turning the
pollsters-
page on rhetoric that people are frankly exhausted of, Brett.
More than
People are
70% of people
exhausted.
tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about.
Listen to him.
You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
Me either. And the people who watching this don't know what you're talking about because you're gaslighting. How do you go to say she didn't know what to say? This was the most important part, I think, where he said, you've been in the office for 3 years. You are the turning page. What are you turning from? You? Well, no, from Trump trying to run for election. That's what you're turning the page from? We watched for 3 years all of these states and prosecutors go after Trump. That's what you want to turn the page from? Girl, she couldn't even answer the question right. I'm going to leave off on that note. There's only a few more minutes left on this. This is a 26-minute clip from Fox News channel. I just wanted to go over some of the key elements that I found very amazing. It was like, wow, this is weird. That's the best way to say it. So what we're going to do is just break this up throughout the weekend, and we're going to kind of hit the topics that we talked about today. Thank you for being with us on one of our first episodes. So I'm going to call it Let's Talk About It. Is that corny? Or we're going to do weekly recap? Which one should I call it? Okay. I think we should do call it weekly recap, just like what we did just now, trying to hit everybody, even Hinyard and all of that. So with that goes to say, I appreciate you guys for being here with GraceLevi and actually, participating and listening. I know a lot of you guys follow from Dalton, so I appreciate you guys expanding your horizons. You see, we kind of in deep doo-doo when it comes to Georgia elections because it is going to affect everyone. This is a primary state, and question is, do you think this is going to turn back red after what we just, or it's going to stay blue because they're not going to basically stop the election if they think it's fraud, and they're not doing no hand ballot counts out here? They like, nope, no quality assurance out there. We need it faster. Let's just get it out there. We let the computers do it. I think we're in deep doo-doo. But with that goes to say, I say stay positive, stay ready, stay dope, and stay focused on your upkeep. Mental, spiritual, and financial at this point. And just know we got to stick together. So I'll see you later on this week. Look out for some of these videos that's going to be chopped up and put out there in the algorithm. Thank you for supporting GraceLevi in my transition. I love you guys.
Answer, because you are that. You are capable. You are gifted, and you are so unique. All of the things that you may hate about yourself are your strengths. It's okay to be soft. It's okay to be opinionated. It's okay to be different. And it's so okay to just be you. The world awaits to receive you.
Would you like to learn a brand new and innovative way to invest your extra money that has a low barrier to entry and low competition? What if I told you that it is a guaranteed method to get up to 18 to 20% return on your investment? Tax lien and deed purchasing is the only way to get into the real estate market through the back door. No credit and no loans needed. This method isn't commonly taught, and therefore the competition is very low, for now. Put together a 14-hour info-packed course which will teach you everything you'll need to know to get started. Learn at your own pace, step-by-step guided video and aids to start you on the TLC deed investment process. The course offers many learning tools for new investors, helping ensure you safely invest in tax liens and deeds. Contact us today and join the buyback team.